Hello, welcome to this Pilates Matwork class that I am gearing towards the beginner level student. So if you're a little bit more advanced, this can still be a great practice for you. If you want a slower practice, maybe a little bit deeper on some levels, coming back to the basics in terms of form, and you are free to do the more advanced versions of this practice when appropriate if you're ready for them. Those of you that are beginners, welcome. I'm glad that you have come here today for this journey. The only props that you might need, and we're technically prop free today, but just a few things. I will be teaching today with a strap for some stretches. Once we get there, you don't have to have it, but it can be nice to have. You don't have to have a official Pilates band or a yoga strap. You can use a belt just like you wear with your clothes. Dog leashes work just as well. So anything you can find will work for you if you want that. And then I'm also setting up on a blanket. So this is at the time of recording, I'm teaching this in the morning and my hips are a little bit tight. So I am sitting up on a blanket to help me with that. A blanket can also be very nice for knee cushion when appropriate, as well as a neck pillow. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So as we start seated, sit in a manner that feels good to your body right now. So for me, that's crisscross applesauce. But for some of you, that might be legs out here or legs forward. You just find a way to sit that feels good to your body right now. And see if you can grow a little bit taller from the sit bone through the spine and out through the crown or the top of the head. We want a nice, strong posture here. So envision ears, shoulders, and hips being in alignment as best as you can with shoulders relaxed down. We'll support that back body with a strong front. So we're going to draw up and in from the pubic bone behind the navel, your belly button into the spine. Be mindful that you are not engaging so deeply here that you cannot sit with ease, move with ease, and most importantly, breathe with ease. Okay, so you want that engagement, but you want to be able to be at ease. Now, going into the Pilates breathing, you'll hear me do it sometimes through here, but I cannot do it on every breath because I cannot talk and do this breath at the same time. So just know that what I'm getting ready to teach you is what you should be doing as you're watching and following me. So with the Pilates breath, we've got that nice engagement. We want to be a little bit taller. As we inhale through the nose, we want to try to expand that rib cage. And then as we exhale, we want to purse the lips a little bit, like you're shushing somebody. Good. And the reason for that is when we shush while we're engaged, we get a deeper abdominal connection with that breath. Okay. So it actually really works. You can kind of take your hands to the belly here and just kind of get a feel. So we're going to inhale, expand the rib cage, and exhale. Yeah, right below the navel. Inhale and expand. Exhale. Again, inhale to expand. Exhale. And one more time. Inhale to expand. And exhale. Good. Relax through the hips if you had a tendency to grip them. Relax the shoulders. Let's open up. Big inhale. Exhale. Side bend to the left. And as I go to the left here, notice how my top arm is nice and long. I'm not letting it collapse. That's going to give me a deeper opening through the side body. I'm anchored through that opposite hip. My shoulder and hip and hand are in that same alignment. I'm trying not to collapse here. So I want to be pushing away. And we're breathing. Now, options. This might be enough for you. You might be like, well, I think I might be able to side bend a little bit more. So I'm just going to let that elbow bend a little bit. That's another option. You might want to open towards the back a little bit here. Feel free to move the arm around, finding what feels good to your bicep pectoral line here, whatever feels good there. Or If a C curve roll, that forward flexion of the spine is okay for you, you can tuck the tail, scoop in that belly, and round my forehead in the direction of the knee, but I'm not touching. I'm also really reaching with this arm. So just kind of choose what feels good to you. And knowing that when we go to the other side, you might need something a little bit different over there. So from here, wherever you went, we're going to open back up, find that length, and we'll come back to center. Good. Inhale, and we're going to reach. Exhale, we'll take that to the other side. Reaching over. Nice long top arm. Find your good alignment. Good. Shoulder, that bottom shoulder is away from the ear. I'm anchoring through that opposite hip. And then from here, you're going to choose what you need to do. It might be staying here. You can always come out of something that's not working. You can side bend deeper. Maybe we open to the back, or maybe we take that C curve roll, forehead in the direction of the knee, but not touching. Find expansion in that breath wherever you're at. And then we'll inhale to lengthen and exhale, coming back center. Let's take this into a gentle twist. Arms are going to come up, big inhale. But I'm going to rotate towards my left. Arms are going to come down, rolling the shoulders back. I'm going to use that left hand to press into the floor behind me, helping me find a little bit more length. Good. Maybe looking a little bit more behind you. And if your eyeballs start to look a little bit more behind you, maybe that head will look a little bit more as well. Now, one thing about your twist, if you cannot expand the rib cage on the twist, we're too deep. So you want to be mindful. And inhale and lift, and exhale, we'll come back center. Inhale, exhale to the other side. Arms come down, rolling the shoulders back. Your back hand, that right hand's going to press into the floor, helping you find that length. Good. And again, maybe the eyes can turn a little bit more. And notice if that helps you twist a little bit deeper. You still want to be able to expand the rib cage, and then you also don't want to crank through the low back. So if the low back feels like it's cranking, feels like it's crunching, because it is, and we've gone too deep and want to back off. Good. And then from here, we'll inhale and exhale, coming back to center. Go ahead, get some big shoulder rolls here. And we're going to come to all fours. So again, you can use the blanket if you have that for knee cushion, if you need it. If you don't need it, then don't worry about it. For right now, I don't need it, so I'm going to move my blanket to the side. Okay. Now, as we come to all fours, and we want to spread the fingers nice and wide, rooting through the knuckles of your pinky, your pointer, and your thumb. Good. Your shoulders are going to be over or slightly behind the wrist, and the knees are going to be under, or they can be slightly wider than hip width apart. Now, here's the trick here. Some people's wrists don't like this hyperextension. So if that applies to you, and I'm assuming being a beginner, you don't have a wedge, but they do make wedges you can use. You can always fold your mat up to your desired level and take the meaty part of the hand, this part of the hand, I'll just kind of show it here with one fold, and that will give you a little bit of a lift. And folding that again will give you a higher lift. And some people find that to be a lot better on their wrists than being more flat on the floor. So just kind of find what you need there. Always take care of yourself. It doesn't mean anything other than your wrists need a little bit more support. Well, we're going to be protracted here. So I'm going to push my hands away from the floor, and my belly button is in. So we're going to take this into some sternum drop. Tops of the feet are down. So what this means is I'm going to let that chest drop towards the floor. My shoulders are going to come towards the ears, but my arms are long. And then I'm going to push away. Good. So here's a retraction and a protraction. Retraction, protraction. Retraction, protraction. Retraction, protraction. Take a couple more. So these are scapular movements. Kind of loosens things up around that shoulder girdle. Mhm. Good. And we'll come into protraction. If you need to come back at any time when we're doing this work on the all fours, please feel free to shift back into a child's pose variation of your choice. Your hips do not have to touch your heels, and you can always, what I call, cupcake the fingertips if you need a little bit more decompression in the wrist. Okay? Just be mindful that when you're ready to weight bear, we don't weight bear on the fingertips. So your hands are going to have to come back down. I'm going to come back to my all fours. Good. I'm protracted in the shoulder. My shoulders are over or slightly behind the wrist. I'm pressing into the knuckles of the pinky, the pointer, and the thumb. We'll take this into some basic cat-cow. Belly button is in. Inhale, pelvis tilts back, chest comes forward. I'm looking forward. This is spinal extension. Be mindful if a deep spinal extension is not for you. Don't come as deep or keep that nice neutral flat back. Exhale, I'm going to tuck the tail. I'm going to scoop that belly button in, looking towards the thighs. This is deep spinal flexion. So if this is not good for your back, go back to that neutral flat back. And then we'll just move through this movement. Move at your body's range of motion. Inhale on the cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. And exhale, cat. And then from here, coming back to that flat back, that neutral, we can come back. Good. Find that little break, find that little decompression. And when you're ready, we're going to take this into some tail wag. Tail wag. So I'm going to come back to all fours. So this is, again, if you've got a bony knee where the blanket can come in handy. But I'm going to take my left knee back just a little bit. Notice how that knee is bent. Okay. So we're going to get some side bending in here. So as you side bend through the spine, you want the low part of the hip and the top part of the rib cage to try to squeeze together. They won't really come together most likely, but you're just going in that direction. So then when I'm looking over to my left, I'm looking over the left shoulder, I'm letting that left foot come also to the left. When I take this to the right, my left foot is also coming to the right. So it's like I'm wagging my tail when my leg and my foot is the tail. To the left, to the right. And inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. One more time. Inhale and exhale. And we'll place that foot down. Again, take that little break. We're going to do that on the other side. It's going to be on the right knee, right leg this time. So coming back to your all fours. Good, my right knee's coming back. Now, something here to be mindful of, and I'll show you from this version when we do this. So here's your tail wag part, okay? I'm not shifting my hips from side to side, okay? My hips are staying over my knees. I'm using my abdominal to stabilize me here, okay? So now, when I look over my right shoulder, my hips are staying where they are, even though my right foot's coming to the right. As I go to the left, hips are staying where they are. I'm looking to the left. Okay. So if you have that hip sway, it's going to feel a little bit different to you, but it's going to feel the way it should feel. Okay. And this does take some practice. Remember, practice makes progress. And inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And we'll bring that down and decompress. Good. We're going to come onto our backs here. So come onto your back in the way that's best for you to come onto your back. And then you can move kind of any bunched up clothing out of your way that may have gotten there. Then we're going to make the back just a little bit happier here. So I'm going to take my feet as wide as the mat. Good. Now I want that abdominal connection here, just like we did when we were seated. That drawing up from the pubic bone and behind the navel. and maybe rolling the shoulders back. So just get a sense of where in the backside is coming into contact with this mat. Okay, so there's no right or wrong answer right now. I just want you to notice, because it really helps. Is the tailbone heavy and anchored? Do you feel a natural curvature in the low back? Maybe it touches the floor, maybe it doesn't. Is your low rib cage heavy and anchored? Are we nice and wide to the collarbone? Good. So you might have to roll the shoulders under and back a little bit to find that. Some people are so rounded in their shoulders, they just can't get that. So do the best you can do here. Good. And then we're going to zip up nice and tight. We're going to let the knees gently go from one side and to the other. So we want the belly to be nice and tight here. We're protecting the SI joints of the low back. That's where the hip and the low back, the sacrum, meet each other. So it's the sacroiliac joint. We used to think that there was zero movement at that joint, but current research is now supporting that there's just enough movement there to cause a problem if we're not careful. So anytime we're doing this work, we want to make sure that we're nice and engaged here. Okay, and we'll come back to center. I'm going to bring my feet back in line with my hips. So my hips, my knees, and my feet are tracking in this alignment. I'm also in a parallel alignment. So my hips, knees, and toes are all tracking towards the ceiling. Okay, so I'm going to roll my shoulders back here, and you can use your arms and kind of press in. You're kind of strengthening and engaging that upper body by doing so. And we're going to rock the pelvis forward and back. This is pelvic rocking. So I'm zipped up nice and tight. Good. So kind of think of it from a cat-cow perspective. So if I'm going into a cow, yes, that's right. If I'm going into a cow, then my pelvis is going to tip forward. So I'm going to get more of an arch in the back. How far you go matters not, but we don't want any pain back there. So you feel any pain back there, then you've gone too far. And then as I rock it back, like you're going into a cow pose where we're tucking the tail, now maybe you've decreased or completely got rid of the space between the back. Okay. And then I'm going to rock it forward. So this is your anterior tilt. This is your extension. And when I rock it back, that's your posterior tilt. That's your flexion. We're just going to rock that forward and back. I like to inhale on the forward, the anterior. I like to exhale on that posterior. Inhale and exhale. Now, if just focusing on the breath and the movement is all you need to focus on that. If you're like, no, I can handle a little bit more, then notice what your feet are doing. So as you're rocking forward and back, we're using our core muscles to do that. We're not pushing into the feet. Case in point, if my feet were not on the floor, I should still be able to rock my pelvis forward and back. Okay? So just kind of be mindful as to where you are and work in your body's range of motion according to those needs. Good. Now we're going to come back to where we think is center. So think of that as your spinal neutral. So tailbone is heavy and connected. Low rib cage is heavy and connected. We're wide to the collarbone. Maybe you've got a little bit of space in the low spine. If you know that you're stronger in the abs, you can stay there. Okay. If you know that you're not as strong in the abs, rock the pelvis back a teeny tiny bit, lightly, very lightly closing that space. That's called the imprinted spine. And sometimes with beginners, working in that imprinted spine can be a little bit more comfortable until you become stronger to work into the neutral. Okay, so kind of play with your spine. Now, belly button is in. I'm going to take one knee at a time into the tabletop position. And I'm staying in that neutral or that imprinted spine. We're going to warm up through the core here through a pre-Pilates exercise called toe tapping. So I'm bent at the knee, I'm bent at the hip. I'm only going to move from the hip. This angle, this 90-degree angle at the knee doesn't change. So this is what it looks like. So I'm coming here. Notice how I'm not changing the angle at the knee. Maybe you touch the floor, maybe you don't. Exhale. as you come back up. So we're only moving from the hip. We'll alternate here a few times each side. Zipping up nice and tight, pressing the arms and the shoulders into the floor. Good. On the right side, inhale on the lower, go to your limit. Exhale on the lift. Good. To the left side, inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Right side, inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. So when you're properly engaged and your pelvis is still in whatever alignment that you need, that imprint or that neutral, this should feel like deep abdominal work right below the navel. This is transverse abdominis, the deepest layer of the abs. Okay? And a lot of times if we go too fast through this, it can be hard to feel that. Good. Inhale, exhale. And other side, inhale and exhale. Good. Bring the knees into the chest. Rock, 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 side to side. Good work here. We're going to do another little exercise here. I don't exactly know what this one is called, but it's really, really good core work. So we're going to come to the knees here. Find your neutral position. Find the imprint. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is my left leg is going to start in tabletop. I'm going to take my right leg long, and I'm really going to reach it. Now, the lower the leg is, the harder it can be on the back. So if you need to lift your leg up a little bit, then do so. Okay, so I'm going to reach, and then I'm going to bend. Good. Now from here, with that bent knee, I'm going to let that leg go to the side, but both hips, both shoulders stay on the floor. So watch your range of motion. Exhale as you lift back up. And then we go to the other side. So we'll try that together. Right side. Good. Reach. And bring it back in. And we'll take it out. And exhale. Bring it back. Left side. Reach. That's your inhale. Exhale, bring it back in. Leg goes out to the side. Inhale. Exhale, bring it back in the center. Right side. And we'll reach. And bend. And to the side. And center. And left side. Reach. And bend. And to the side. And center. Right side. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bend. Inhale, side. Exhale, center. Left side, inhale, reach. Exhale, bend. Inhale, left side opens. Exhale, knee comes back in and bring it into the chest and rock, rock, rock. We're going to take 1 foot at a time to the floor, and we're going to come back to those scapular movements that we did more towards the beginning. I'm going to take my arms right over the shoulders. So from here, when I protract, arms are long, I'm reaching those shoulders off the floor towards the ceiling. When I retract, I'm pressing them back down into the floor. So protract, retract, protract, retract, protract, retract, protract, retract, protract, and retract. Arms come to the side, rolling the shoulders back. We're retracted here. We're pressing the shoulders into the floor, and we're going to come into a basic bridge. Make sure that your feet are not too far away or not too close. Hips, knees, and toes are tracking in this alignment. Good. Pressing into the arms, the shoulders, and the feet as best as you can. Zip up that front body. We're just going to lift the hips up towards the ceiling, lift up through the chest. You'll get a higher bridge. And then we're going to press this back down. We're doing scapular strengthening now by pressing into the arms and the shoulders. Press again, lifting up. Do you feel yourself scooting backwards? If you do, take the knees energetically more forward. Good. That'll make your hamstrings work a little harder, but that's better form, and we'll lower that back down. We'll go again. Pressing into the feet, the arms, and the shoulders, lifting up through that chest, energetically knees forward if needed, and lowering that back down. Good. Now, if you've got osteoporosis or something like that, and that flexion of the spine is not for you, you're going to do yours just like we just did. Those of you that are okay with that, we're going to zip up. We're going to rock the pelvis back. We're moving through that imprint, healing up bone by bone, coming all the way into the bridge, lifting up through the chest, pressing into the arms and shoulders. Now we're going to lower down from the mid-back, through the rib cage, through the lumbar, through the sacrum, and back down to that tailbone. And we'll rock through that sacrum, through that lumbar, through that rib cage, up to the mid-back, lifting through that chest, pressing arms and shoulders in, and lowering from the mid-back, through the rib cage, through the lumbar, through the sacrum, and back to your safe neutral one more time. And rocking back through the sacrum, through the lumbar, through the rib cage, pressing in the arms and shoulders, through that mid-back, and then lowering from the mid-back, through the rib cage, through the lumbar, through the sacrum, and back to the tailbone. Gently take head and neck from side to side. Take one knee at a time into the chest and rock, rock, rock side to side. We'll take this into a pinwheel here. We can still open up through the shoulders and the back a little bit. So we're going to roll over onto our side. So I'm going to roll over onto my right side because that's the side that is going to put me towards you. You're free to put a folded blanket here for a little neck pillow if you need it. But my right arm is straight out from the shoulder, and my left arm is going to stack on top. I want my fingertips to come together nice and even. So I don't want to have like the top hand sliding back. So this ensures that my shoulders are truly stacked. Same thing here, you want the hips to be stacked. So if your front knee is kind of back a little bit, see if you can stack them. Good. My belly button is in. Good. My left hand, that top hand, is going to drag all the way across the floor, opening up, looking towards that other side. And then I'm going to drag it all the way back up and come back to center. We'll do that again, opening up to the other side, feeling the stretch in the chest maybe, and come all the way up. Now, if your fingers don't touch the floor, that's okay. That comes with time. Mine didn't when I first started. Good. And come back here. Now we're going to open and close. So belly buttons in nice and tight. Good. Going to open. Good. You're coming into a twist. And exhale to close. Good. Gaze follows that hand. And inhale, open. And exhale, close. Good. We're going to come back onto our backs. Make sure everything feels okay. And then we'll take it to the other side. So apologies that my back is to you. So this is going to be the same setup that we did before. Good. So you want the tips of the fingertips to be even to each other here. The left arm is straight out from the shoulder. Good. Knees are stacked, so the hips are stacked. And then here we go. Good. We're going to drag, coming all the way open. Good. And then we're going to close. Again, fingers may or may not be touching the floor here. Do what you can do. Gaze follows the fingers and the hands as best as you can. You'll lose it a little bit as you come behind. Good. And if this full range of motion is not for you, no worries. We just do what we can do. Because remember, practice makes progress. Everybody has to start somewhere. Good. And then from here, good. We'll zip up nice and tight. Inhale to open. Good. And exhale to close. Good. Inhale to open. And exhale to close. Good. And we'll come back onto our back here. Good. So once you're here, good. Kind of get centered. Maybe like a little wiggle wiggle here, if that would feel good to you. And we're gonna go into some modified hundreds, modified hundreds. So for these, I'm gonna leave my knees bent and feet on the floor. You're welcome to come into a tabletop position here if you feel like you're a little bit stronger, maybe if you're not new to exercise. So if that's you, knees are gonna be over the hips, chins parallel to the floor. You're gonna find that safe neutral. Everyone else is gonna follow me though, feet on the floor. You're finding the safe neutral or that little imprint. We're gonna zip up. My arms are gonna start right over the shoulders. Good. So if you have osteoporosis again, you're gonna take your arms down. You're gonna really reach from the shoulders to fingertips. You're really drawing up and in, and you're gonna make this little flutter here, and that's gonna be your modification. Those of you that are okay lifting up into the C curve will follow me, zipping up. We're gonna nod the chin. Good. We're looking towards the thighs. Arms are long and low at the sides. Shoulders are down. Long and strong. We're gonna pump here. We're gonna inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, hold. Maybe lift up a little higher, reach a little deeper, and take that down. Good. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. So a few things. You want to make sure that whether you're grounded or lifted, when you're doing this, this is a long, tight connection from the shoulders to the fingertips. So we're not bending the elbows and we're not waving at the feet. Okay. So it's nice and tight connection. If you're in a C curve and you're doing this, we're also not doing this. Okay. So you're staying up there. You're only moving from the shoulders. Eyes to the thighs. We don't want the head to hang back into space. That puts too much strain on the neck. So when we look at the thighs, the chin then will tuck just enough to help that. Now, that being said, you might have looked at your thighs. You had that slight chin tuck and your neck is still sore. That's okay. It can take a while to build up that strength. And if you feel tension in your neck, even more advanced people, I've been doing this for over 10 years. There's times when I can't do this in a C curve and I have to lower down because my neck just doesn't want to do it that day. So what I do then is lower down. As long as I'm tight and connected, I'm still working, but I've taken that strain out of the neck. Okay. So being mindful, we'll do a second set of what I call sitties. Feet can be on the floor. If you're like, well, I can try a little bit more challenge this time, then maybe you take the knees into tabletop position. Okay. I'm going to modify back down here on the floor. Choose your challenge. Upper body's on the floor. We can lift up that chest with me, zipping up nice and tight. Good. We're going to come up. We're going to reach slower. You're going to inhale for a count of 5. Exhale for a count of 5. Don't forget that. Shh. Okay. Belly button is in. Start pumping. And we inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, hold. Lift a little higher, reach a little deeper, and take that down. Good. Bringing the knees into the chest. Rock, rock, rocking. Head and neck side to side. Let's take a little twist here. Take arms out to the side, knees into tabletop position. Letting those knees come all the way over to the right as you look to the left. Breathe and expand through that rib cage. And when you're ready, head can come back to center. Let's take one leg at a time back to center. Good. And then we'll take those knees all the way over to the left. And you're looking to the right, breathing and expanding. And then when you're ready, head back to center. One leg at a time, back to center, bringing the knees in. We're going to grab the strap. Now we're going to go into some stretches. So I've got my strap here. I should have used my shorter yoga belt, but that's okay. And we're going to start on the right side. Now, if you don't have a strap, you're going to take your hands behind that leg and let the hands travel up as high as you can go. Your other knee can stay bent and your back is going to be in charge here. Or if you are okay in the back, you can have that leg long. You can just yours. Good. Upper body is going to be low here. Good. Find a grip that's appropriate. Good. Micro bend the knee. So we don't want to walk out like that. We want to micro bend. We'll gently bring that in towards the face. So as we're here, good. Stretching is okay. Pain, numbness, tingling, burning are never okay. So you want to back off if you feel those. How do you intensify here? Point and flex the foot. The more you point the toes towards the face, it'll be a little bit more gentle in the hamstring. The more you point the toes towards the face, the deeper that will be there. Sometimes people like the sensation of a stretch to the top of the foot by pointing towards the ceiling. So just kind of feel where your happy medium is. Good, and then we'll gently release. Both pieces of the strap are going to come into the right hand. So same hand as leg. Both hips, both shoulders are going to stay on the floor. As we let that leg go out towards the right, and you can kind of wiggle around here from the hip to find your best spot. If your other knee is bent, watch it. It stays in line with the hip. If you have to let that leg kind of come out to the side like a counterweight, then your leg here that you're holding on to is out too far, okay? So hip, knee, and toe of the bent knee, if you have a bent knee, it's going to stay in line with the hip. Belly button is in. And you can always do a gentle tug towards that shoulder as well. I like that little intensification. Breathe and expand. Both hips are on the floor. Both shoulders on the floor. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, we'll gently bring that leg back up. Good. Now from here, my knee was bent. I'm going to take it longer. It doesn't have to be super long. Just take it a little bit longer. My other hand is going to grab the strap now. Good. And I'm going to arc this leg over 45-ish degrees. So this hip will come up a little bit here, keeping a micro bend in the knee. Now, different things for different people. You can wiggle around finding the right angle. Some people do better with this with a long leg. Some people find it's a little bit better for them with more of a bent knee. So you have to just kind of experiment day to day when you find yours. You can also find something more special by moving the foot around from the ankle. You'll know it when you find it because it's going to feel extra special from the hip all the way to that heel. Ready? We'll come up from here. Good. Now I'm going to leave this foot in the strap just for a little bit more control. If you don't have a foot in a strap because you're like this, go ahead and put a bend back in the knee. We're going to draw tiny circles with a big toe here, just like that. Okay. But if you've got a strap and you want that extra little connection, you can take it. So both hips will stay on the floor here, as is both shoulders. Zip up through that front body using the toe, tiny circles. And we'll go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we'll reverse. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. If you've got a strap, you can do a little midair switcheroo here. If not, just take the other foot down and the other foot up. So we're going to go through that stretching sequence again now on the side. So micro bend that knee. We'll gently bring it in. The other knee can be bent or extended long. And you might notice differences between one side and the other. Upper body is down. Maybe point and flex that foot, finding your best spot. Good. So the purpose of the smaller circles is to get you used to that movement and build up a little bit of strength there. So yes, you are getting a little bit of range of motion work in the hip joint, but your core is deeply engaged. This deep transverse abdominis work again. So it's also core work because as we progress and get stronger, those circles get larger and the more core control we must have. So we start small and then we work our way up. Good. And then we'll release both pieces of strap now into that other hand. Good. Just support the leg on the outside of the leg if you're not using a strap. Both hips, both shoulders stay on the floor as you take that leg now out to the side, kind of wiggle around. Again, be mindful if you're using that bent knee as a counterweight, we want to keep that leg in line. So maybe that leg doesn't need to come out as far to the side. Breathing and expanding. And when we're ready, we'll bring that leg back up to center. I'm going to lengthen my bent knee a little bit more here. Good. And then now my opposite hand of that foot is going to grab the strap. Both shoulders will stay on the floor. Good. Your left hip will not as you bring that leg over. Wiggle around, find your best spot. Notice if you need a long leg or a bend in the knee here. And if you want that bonus, move, oh, I found it right there. Move that foot around from the ankle and you'll notice when you find it. It is a Hurt So Good special. You can back off of that at any time. And when we're ready, we'll come back up. So again, we'll put that bend back in that knee, a lower grip on your strap if you're using the strap. Pointing with that toe, small circles. Belly button is in, hips don't leave the floor. We'll go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we'll reverse for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. And then take that foot out of your strap. We're going to put the strap to the side. Roll over to your side. And then press yourself up to a T. Good. So we're going to sit here for a moment. Good. I'm going to take my legs long. Now, if your hips are really tight or your hamstrings are really tight, you can bring that folded blanket back in and sit on it. I'm a little bit more open now, so I don't need it. So just know if you need it, it's okay to have it. I'm going to take my heels as wide as my mat here, and you just saw me adjust. So I'm taking my pelvis into a little bit of an anterior tilt. So that's that cow position. So my pelvis is tilting back as my tailbone is tilting back as my pelvic bone tilt a little bit more forward. And that just helps me sit up a little bit straighter from this position. So going to spine stretch forward, my arms are going to come forward. If you've got osteoporosis, you're going to keep a flat back here. Just know that it's going to be a little bit of a deeper stretch for you in the hamstring. Those of you that are okay with forward flexion of the spine will follow me. You're going to relax the shoulders. We're going to peel off this imaginary wall bone by bone, starting from the top of the head all the way to the tailbone. So I'm going to nod the chin. I'm going to scoop in that belly. Good. I'm reaching. I'm going bone by bone. Good. I'm looking towards the floor. Hopefully, maybe my ears and biceps meet each other. And then from here, I'm going to stack bone by bone from the tailbone all the way back up to that nice fall seat that we started with. And we're going to do that one more time. Inhale, exhale. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, stack. All the way back up. Good. Spine stretch, side, arms out to the side. So just like in the beginning, you want your shoulders and your hips to be in that alignment. You're squeezing the low rib cage and the top of the hip together. Do not let the opposite hip come up off the floor, and we'll reach. Good. Now, if you've got more depth, you can let that elbow of the forearm come down, and then we'll come back up. Other side, taking it over. So I'm really anchoring that opposite hip and coming back. Good. And again, to the right and coming up and to the left and coming up. Good. From here, going into a twist, I'm going to take my hands behind my head. Good. Letting the shoulders relax. Good. Both hips are on the floor. And I'm just going to twist towards my right to your ability and come back center. And twisting to the left and center and to the right and center and to the left and center and release and relax. We're going to come onto our side now. We'll start on the right side again. Good. So this is side series, and we're just going to do a couple of these exercises. There's actually quite a few. So I'm going to show you different ways to come into this exercise. So you can be here. You can be here. It really just kind of depends on, how your shoulder feels or whatnot. This is where I'm going to be for today. You want your shoulders and your hips to be in alignment, but you can take your knees bent. That's going to be easier. You can also take your legs long at a 45-degree angle. Another version of this is taking your legs long but bending the bottom leg, which is the one that I personally like the best and the one that I'm going to go with here. So shoulders and hips are in alignment. Make sure you're not back here on the glute. You want to be rocked forward. So both hip bones, kind of like the headlights of your hips, if you will, are both pointing to the side that you're lying on. So I'm lying on my right side. Both of them are pointing to the right. Good. My bottom knee is bent. My top leg is right in line with the hip. And we're going to lift. And I'm zipping up and in here. And then I'm going to lift one. And I'm going to slow that down as I lower. And inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Good. We're going to take this into those tiny circles again. So you want that pelvic stability. Good. Hips don't rock forward and back here. They stay nice and stable. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Just 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Opposite direction. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Good. From here, when you're ready, good. We're going to roll over onto the belly. So this is called prone. We're prone when we're belly down. Legs are going to be about hip width apart here. We're going to go into spinal extension. So be mindful if that's not good for you. You're not going to come up as high. So starting my hands under my shoulders, I'm going to take them a little bit forward and to the side, rolling the shoulders back. You're zipping up through that front body, and we're going to go into a baby swan. So I'm going to press into my hands, forearms, and shoulders and elbows. I come up a little bit and look forward. Now, some of you might be able to come up a little bit more than that, and that's fine. You just don't want to hang in the shoulder. The shoulders are away from the ears, and we don't want to hang in the low back. So how do we know that? Well, if the low back feels like it's crunching, then you're probably hanging there. So be mindful, and then we lower that down with care. Good. When you're ready, we'll do that again. Come to the height appropriate for you. Good. Inhale on that lift. Exhale on that lower. Inhale on that lift. Exhale on that lower. Inhale on that lift. Exhale on that lower. One more time. Inhale on that lift. Shoulders down and back. Exhale on that lower. Good. Now you can roll to the other side. I'm just going to come up here and switch so that my back is not to you. And we're going to get that side lying series on this side. So you want to try whatever you do here with your shoulder, you want to try to do it the same way that you did on the other side so that we train evenly. And then same thing with the legs. So if you did the 45 degrees, or if you were here and follow me, you want to try to do that same thing here. Shoulders and hips are in alignment. My belly button is in. This front hand can always be here for support. Good. Top leg is hip height. And we'll start. We'll go inhale, exhale. And inhale and exhale. And 3. Both hips forward. And 4. And 5. And 6. Good. Here's those circles. Pelvis is stable. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And reverse. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. We'll bend those knees. We're going to come up to a seat. Good. So from here, I'm going to come back by all fours. Okay. We're going to stretch the hips here for a moment. So from all fours, I'm just going to kind of sink on one side. And that feels good. Coming back up and sinking to the other side. And coming back up here. Good. So pull my hands up a little bit here. Good. So from here, good. Find that all fours position again, just like we did in the beginning. Spreading the fingers wide, rooting through the knuckles of pinky, pointer, and thumb. Support your wrist with the meaty part of the hand if needed. Knees are under the hips or slightly wider. Tops of the feet are down. So we're going to go into an opposite arm, opposite leg balance here. Let's start by taking the right leg back. Nope, might help if I actually did the right leg. Right leg's going to come back. Good. Press even into the big toe and pinky toe mound here. So we're going to stretch the center part of the foot as well as the back of the leg. So I'm just going to press back through that heel. Let that right hip drop slightly. You can have a little bit of a yield, a little bit of a bend in the elbows, but try not to collapse to the shoulders. You want to press away there. Good. Now to come forward, you're going to push with that back foot and the leg. You don't want to pull with the shoulders. And then from here, good. Maybe you lift a little bit. Maybe you lift up hip height. We don't want to be like this. Okay, so you want to keep that back nice and long. Good. And then we'll bring that knee down. Now, let's test this. Take your left arm forward. Ideally, you want it to be up by the ear. If that's not where you are today, that's okay. Push out of that supporting shoulder. Okay, just notice how that feels. Good. And we'll take that hand down. So let's try this on this side now. Right leg's going to come back. Go to your height. Gently let that left arm come up. Stop at the height that's appropriate for you. Breathing, belly button is in. So we're working balance here, as well as the core in both the front and the back side of the body. The core is often used interchangeably with the abs. Carefully take that down, press back, child's pose. But your core muscles are really all of your muscles in the front and back side of the body, from the armpits all the way down to the hips. So hopefully you felt more than just the abs working there in that way. So let's take this to the other side now. Good. We'll start with taking the left leg back. Good. Pressing evenly into your big toe and pinky toe mound. Press back through that heel. Strong shoulders, maybe a little bit of a micro bend in the elbows. Maybe that left hip needs to drop just a little bit. Breathing and expanding. Feel that nice stretch down the back of the leg. And then pushing with that back foot and leg to bring you forward. Good. Take a little bit of a lift. Good. Just kind of see how high you can be. Again, notice those muscles, front and back side of the body. Belly button zipped up and in. And then we'll lower that knee down. Good. So from here, your right arm now is going to slide forward. Good. Ideally by the ear, but it may not be there today. Press out of the supporting shoulder. Now just kind of notice what fires up there and take that hand down. Good. Let's put that together. The left leg's gonna come back. Good. Take it to your height. Be stable there. We don't move to the next thing until we're stable with the first thing. And then if you're stable, good, you can reach that other arm up. Good. Pressing out of the supporting shoulder. So we're nice and strong in that left shoulder. Belly button is in. We're still breathing. And we'll take that down. Good. And come back and take a break. Good. We're going to take this into some modified push-ups. So actually, let's do a plank first because some of you might take that version. So I'm going to come up here. So we're going to do a modified plank. So I'm just going to take my hands a little bit more forward. So with a knee down plank, good. My shoulders are over or slightly behind the wrists. I don't want to plank from too far back here. And I don't want to plank too far forward. Okay. So we're pushing away. You're protracted. My belly button is in. Now I'm pretty open in my hip flexors. So I look like a nice long diagonal line from my shoulders to the knees. And eventually that's where we're going. Some of you might need to bend the knees back there. That's okay. But that's the way to do a modified plank. Okay. Some of you, and then I'm going to press back in child's pose. Some of you might do your push-ups from that spot. That's why we did that one first. But a lot of you are going to do your push-ups from all fours, okay? So whether you're going into that knee down plank or working with all fours from the shoulders, we're going to turn our hands more inward here. Okay, make sure that they're even so one hand's not forward of the other. Okay, we're going to work from right there. Okay, so I'm in all fours. And we're going to try just 5 of these. So I'm protracted to start. Good. Elbows are going to come out to the side. Halfway down is all we need. And we're going to push. There's 1. Inhale. Exhale to push. Inhale. Exhale, push 3. Inhale. Exhale, push 4. Inhale. And exhale, push 5. Good. And take that back. Now, we're going to come to standing. We're going to do a little bit of footwork and a balance challenge there before we close. But I'm going to cue this from a downward facing dog up to standing. So if you know that downward facing dog is not for you, then go ahead and come to standing in the way that's best for you to get there. Otherwise, from all fours, taller people take a half a hand's width or 4 hands width forward. I'm a shorter person, so I'm going to keep my hands here. I'm spreading my fingers wide. Rooting through the knuckles of pinky, pointer, and thumb. I'm tucking the toes. I'm shifting back. I'm pressing in and forward into the mat with my hands. I lift my knees and lift my hips. Good. And from this down dog, good, I'm going to let my knees bend as I walk my hands back towards my feet, getting into all 4 corners of the feet. If you need to keep a flat back, you can keep one. Those of you that are okay with spinal flexion can follow me. But you're going to make the legs take the load here. So you're really pushing down into the floor from hip to heel. And then from the tailbone, you're just going to round. Good. Legs are taking the load as you come all the way up to standing. All right. So from here, we're going to take the feet about hip width apart. This is just a little bit of footwork. Hands can be at the waist, out to the side. You can also hold onto the wall or a piece of furniture. But we're just going to lift the heels straight up onto the toes and back down. And 2, and down, and 3, and down, and 4, and down, and 5, and down. Good. Now, a little bit harder. We've got the Pilates feet. Some of you might not be able to touch the heels and the legs together today. That's okay. There was a time when I could not do that either. Again, practice makes progress. So just do the best you can do here. And then once you're ready, good. Hands can be out or to the waist. I'm going to do my arms out here. Good. Pressing through the feet. Good. And we'll lift up and come down. I'm not as good as these as I am on the others. They're a lot harder. Good. And I think this is 3 and 4 and 5. Good. Bring that down. Good. Do a little march. Good. From here, good. I'm going to plant my left foot from the hip all the way down into the heel as I lift up my right foot. Good. So my abs are lifting the foot. If you're really wobbly here, feeling like you're going to fall over, this is where you work. And when you're no longer wobbly, then it's safe to take it higher. So we don't go higher. We don't go on to the next thing until we master the first thing. When you're ready, we'll bring that down. We'll go to the other side. So zipping up and in, start small first, make sure you're okay. And if you're not wobbly, good, abs are gonna lift that leg a little bit higher. When you think about the abs are lifting the leg, you don't get into the hip crease. If it's all in the hip crease, your abs are not engaged. And then we'll take that down and just march. Good. Let's go into a little bit of a stretch squat sequence. Feet about hip width apart. Big inhale and we reach. Exhale, bend the knees and come down. Press through the feet as we come back up. Get a side bend towards the left. Notice if you have a forward collapse here, we want to open that up. And then coming back to center. And we'll come up and we'll come down, pressing through the feet and the legs. Coming up and side bend to the other side. Notice how I'm keeping my hips over my ankles. I'm not doing this way. And coming up. From here, I'm just going to rotate. This kind of makes it feel better. Good, let's do one little neck stretch here, and then we will be all done. So let's take the left ear to the left shoulder. Try to keep the right shoulder down and back. We don't want it to lift up or kind of compensate with the body moving with us. And then you can just kind of find any little movements here that would feel good to the side. Good. And coming back to center and to the other side. This is my tighter side. So this is the side where, believe it or not, the right shoulder wants to come up here. Sometimes that happens. Try to keep them down and then just finding the different little movements that feel good to you. Hang out longer if you feel a really good one. And come back to center. Roll it out. Good. Way to go. You made it through this Pilates mat work class for beginners. I hope you learned a lot. I hope to see you again really soon. Remember, practice makes progress. We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for progression. Have a wonderful day. See you soon.